With the addition of the three brothers, the bow has received a serious upgrade in both damage and versatility. Now previously a lot of people have complained about the bow's lack of damage in comparison to most melee weapons, a situation exasperated by the fact you can't infuse a bow with an element. But personally, I've always felt the lower damage was a fair trade when you consider how safe you are when you use the bow. But regardless, if it was ever true that the bow was underpowered, it is certainly not true now. Because the bow can't be infused, it relies mostly on physical damage. Thankfully, this DLC has provided us with lots of ways to increase exactly that kind of damage. Let's take a look at how high we can get it. First, we have what's in the base game. The Discipline boon, with the Shamanic Resonance passive, alongside physical attack up you can get from foods and potions, and the Alchemical Experiment passive from the Levant questline. Then we have what the DLC provides. The Bandit Backpack, the Cali Grey Bone Cage, and the Arena Passive Bronze. And finally, since we chose Levant, we can get Kirawak's Breakthrough by upgrading our Alchemy store for yet another 15% bonus. And we are not done yet. The build gets more interesting at this point. By getting the Arena Passive Patience and using the Damascene Bow, our weapon skill damage goes up by another 25% for each, for a total of 50. The Damascene Bow can be further strengthened by using the Legacy system to make it a Masterpiece Bow, which does more damage but keeps the 25% weapon skill boost. And just to be thorough, make sure to enchant the bow with Whiplash. In order to use our weapon skills as much as possible, we also need to take the Speedster as our last breakthrough point. At max alertness, we get a cooldown reduction of 40%. Then we equip the Shadow Kazite Light Armor, which we get from Legacy chests, to get another 20% less cooldown. The Shadow Kazite armor also can be enchanted with Assassin, which gives us another 20% physical damage bonus, so there's good synergy here. So, have we now gone as high as we can go? Yes. But even this screen isn't taking our max damage into account, since it's not calculating our bonus of weapon skills. Now that we're done increasing our damage, let's go about decreasing our risk. As a speedster, we really don't want to get hit. Not just because of the lowered resistance, but because each hit lowers our alertness levels, which lowers our cooldowns, and that in turn lowers our damage. Thankfully, as I was saying before, playing with the bow is extremely safe, so we won't often be getting hit. But we do still have to use Probe to get those alertness levels in the first place, or to get them back up if they fall. When we're forced into melee range like this, is when we are most vulnerable. So to mitigate that vulnerability, we are going to be using the Old Legion Spear. Now the Old Legion Spear is a fucking monster. It is the longest weapon in the game by far, and it makes getting alertness levels simple and safe. Well, at least safer. Its incredible length allows us to attack even while enemies are still in their attack animations. We outrange them by far. You might also want to take the Acrobatics skill. It's not necessary, but I find it useful. It goes well with the bow, and you often find yourself in a good position to attack with the bow and the spear. Now, a few things to keep in mind. First, this build is very fun to play. And while I repeat that generally it is relatively safe, this safety requires that you not be an idiot. You are still running around with 4 alertness levels all of the time. A few mistakes in succession and you will die. Second, the Caldera is full of enemies that have huge amounts of physical resistance. But still, even the toughest monsters will go down. We've stacked our damage beyond any semblance of reason, so just keep shooting. Third, playing this way automatically turns you into an arrow slut. You will be carrying around piles of wood to make arrows with any iron you come across. You're going to be breaking down any weapons you don't need to feed your insatiable need for more iron. I actually consider this a pro, not a con. There's something oddly therapeutic about collecting iron all the time for my arrows for reasons I'm not entirely sure of yet. Alright, fourth. Because you need to upgrade your alchemist shop to get the Kerouac's breakthrough passive, you won't have access to the Fletcher. Which means you won't have easy access to the neat new arrows available in the DLC. If you really wanted to use those arrows, you may want to consider choosing a different build, or making do without those extra percentage points of damage. Fifth, this build has no way of getting a light source easily. The Bandit's backpacks does not have a lantern holder, and you can't use magic, so no magic lantern for you. For the base game this might have been a problem, but the Caldera doesn't have many spots that are super dark, so I considered it a non-issue. Sixth, since you need the arena passive, you won't have access to the arena weapon skills. If you really want them, you can join a friend's world, but personally I don't find Strafing Run to be that useful for this build, mostly because the cooldown is so high and it eats through your arrows very quickly. The other 3 bow skills are up very fast, so there isn't much need for a fourth. Also, a disclaimer in these clips, I actually am dealing less damage than I could be. I forgot to get the Shamanic Resonance breakthrough, and so you will be getting a benefit of 15% more damage if you follow the build. And finally, you could have chosen to go with Harmattan instead of Levant for the 10% more cooldown reduction of the Logistic Expert's passive, but that would mean giving up 30% damage, which I really didn't want to do. Okay, so I believe that's everything. I think this build is as optimized as it possibly can be, but if anyone knows or can think of a way to squeeze out more damage, please let me know. The description will have links addressing any questions you might have about the build. Thank you for watching.